Hi, I'm True Quiet. I'm a Project Diva player, and not to brag or anything, but I'd say I'm probably a pretty good one. However, depending on who you ask, I might be considered relatively new to the scene. I only got into the franchise when it came to the Nintendo Switch in 2020, but with the recent PC release available on Steam, I figured I may as well try my hand at creating guides for it. I know what it's like to be a new player of this game. I know how hard it can be to make your thumbs move the right way. So with that in mind, I want this to be as intuitive as possible for new players. This first episode of the tutorial will be extremely basic, all about making the game more comfortable for yourself. Before you even touch your first song, it helps if you understand the game's basic mechanics. The tutorial does a pretty good job summarizing them, but allow me to recap. Project Diva is a rhythm game, and as such, the objective is to press the right button at the right time, in time with the music. There are a total of 6 distinct inputs: the 4 melody notes and the 2 sliders. The 4 melody notes correspond to the 4 buttons on your controller, as well as the D-pad. I should probably mention that the PC release of the game also allows keyboard controls. The keyboard is a vastly different playstyle, which mostly uses the fingers instead of the thumbs. As such, I can offer very little insight on it. I will be discussing controller strategies, as controller is the play method preferred by most players. Under Customization from the main menu, there is a sub-menu called Game/Control Config. From here, you can choose what icons to use for the melody notes. The game supports Nintendo-style face buttons, Xbox-style face buttons, and PlayStation-style face buttons, as well as basic arrows. I prefer the arrows, myself, and for you, the best bet would probably be to either select the arrows, or select whatever set of icons matches the controller you are using. There are a couple of other features in here you can play around with, although for beginners, I would most likely avoid touching most of these. Except for perhaps vocals on miss. Turning this on makes it much easier to recover from a miss. The lag config button will help you calibrate for input delay. As timing is extremely important in this game, it's a good idea to make sure that input delay is kept to a minimum. My lag config is set to 0 myself, as I have no delay, but if you think you might, it's a good idea to run through the calibration. Now, let's talk about key bindings. If you don't want to mess with this right now, don't worry. Just give it a quick skim to make sure everything looks like it lines up the way it should. I've heard tales of the key bindings being mysteriously incorrect when the game is launched for the first time. Most importantly, make sure both the D-pad input and the corresponding face button are bound. For example, I have both the triangle button and up on the D-pad bound to the up arrow. This allows you to play notes with both hands, to swap whenever you want, and even to alternate between hands for faster sections like this. If you do want to poke around a bit more in here though, let's talk about the shoulder buttons. The bumpers and triggers, by default, are bound to the slider inputs. For beginners, this is completely fine. You'll notice though that I have removed these bindings, leaving only the sticks for the slider notes. Why have I done that? Well, if you scroll a bit farther down, you'll find that the game allows you to bind multiple notes to a single button. This is what I use my shoulder buttons for, making it easier to perform the input when multiple notes need to be pressed at once. I have never had any trouble hitting slider notes with just the sticks, and freeing up those buttons for multi-notes helps me do stuff like this. Again though, if you're just starting out, you most likely don't need to worry about any of this right now. Do try to get into the habit of using the sticks for slider notes though. Now, I should explain the game's rating system. Cool is the highest rating, and it means you press the right button at the right time. A cool rating will add 1 to your combo. Always try to go for cools. Below the cool is good. Good is good. It means you press the right button close enough to the right time for it to still count. Goods award fewer points than cools, but will still add 1 to your combo. Both cools and goods will give you a small amount of HP. below the good is safe. Safe is not good. Safe means you press the right button, but we're too off for it to fully count. Safes will reset your combo to 0, but do not affect your HP. Below the safe is bad. Bad is bad. Bad means you hit the right button, but at the very edge of the note window. Bad will reset your combo to 0 and take off a sizable chunk of HP. And then there is the miss. If you do not perform an input at all, or perform it way too late, you will get a miss. Miss will reset your combo to 0 and knock off a very large amount of HP. Missing a few notes in quick succession can and will cause you to fail the song. Finally, there is also the wrong. Wrong happens when you press the wrong button. Wrongs will reset your combo to 0 and knock off some HP. However, wrongs will not cost nearly as much HP as a miss, so if you're not sure what to press, just press anything. Pressing something is almost always better than pressing nothing. And before I end this video, I should talk about hold notes. Although you should still try your best to hit the note that says hold, actually holding the button is completely optional, and not doing so will not cost HP or break your combo. In a later episode of this tutorial, I'll go over a more advanced technique to make holding the note much easier. Alright, that's all I have to say about making the game more comfortable for yourself. The best thing you can do is just practice. It's the same way people improve at literally any skill. Play a couple of songs, try to keep time as best you can. To make progress a little bit quicker, challenge yourself. See if you can maintain a combo through the entire song. If not, try again. It gets easier every time. You're learning, even if you don't realize it. Oh, and if you get dizzy, stop. I did at first, too. But I quickly got used to it, and now I can play for hours without so much as a bit of nausea. Most importantly, set goals, but don't be so hard on yourself if you struggle to get there. Remember, this is a game. It's a hobby. You'll be okay. The game will still be here later, the next time you want to give it a try. Until the next episode of this tutorial, good luck, and enjoy the music.